Yep, it's been one of those weeks again with a new Apple iPhone generation available in the shops. It's the usual deal: stunning UI, poorish camera, and requiring a willingness to sign up for a lengthy contract. Still, there's an awful lot to like. You'll hear more about the iPhone 3G later on in the HTC Touch Diamond review. Seen by some commentators as just another chat utility, I see the release of Nokia Chat as a major innovation. At long last, someone's built GPS support into a real-time social network, in this case centered around your contacts and Nokia Chat or Google Gtalk friends, but with automatic updating of their physical whereabouts. There are a few caveats, some because Nokia Chat is in beta and some to avoid privacy issues, but this is still well worth installing. Fairly new and available, at least in the USA, is the latest Palm Windows mobile device, the Trio 800W. Nothing earth-shattering other than having GPS built in, unusual for Palm. There's a 320 pixel square screen and Wi-Fi. Also brand new is LG's Chocolate with a proprietary OS, but a very tasty clamshell nevertheless. It's music focused with an iPod-like scroll wheel on the front, plus on-screen music controls. Inside is a quarter VGA screen, a 2 megapixel camera, and a Nokia N78-like FM transmitter, so you can play music through your car's speakers. There's GPS 2 and a navigation suite preloaded.
In line with the tiny size of the Nokia 6220 Classic, I want to keep the review short as well, in part because a lot of what's here has been seen before, just not in such a small and cheap package. The 6220 has already been confirmed on some pay-as-you-go networks. You see 95% of the functionality of this, the flagship N95 8GB, is contained in this, the 6220. In fact, the software is arguably better, with S60 3rd Edition Feature Pack 2, complete with theme effects, integrated multi-language dictionary. Most of Nokia's recent add-on software see now built into the firmware, plus, at long last, USB 2 transfer speeds, around 10 megabytes per second. The main things missing from the N95 spec are Wi-Fi and an accelerometer, and there's one addition here in the very welcome Xenon Flash, and all this in only 66 cubic centimetres and 90 grams of weight, with a SIM-free price of just over £200, quite staggering. Money had to be saved somewhere, of course, and it's probably in build quality and component spec. The screen's a disappointing 2.2 inches, although this does rather come with the candy bar form factor. The keypad lacks real definition, and the plasticky frame had a little too much given it for me. The battery's a little on the light side too, at only 900 mAh, although it should be fine for most typical users. There's only one small mono speaker rather than the two large stereo ones in the N95, of course, plus a 2.5mm audio out jack rather than 3.5, probably due to the size considerations. But still, these are only niggles. To have a camera that is so incredibly capable with 5 megapixel results, virtually indistinguishable from those from the market-leading N82, plus a VGA video recording and that lovely Xenon Flash, plus full TV out in all apps using the supplied composite lead, it all really brings a new level of creativity to the mass market. And well done Nokia for including a mechanical lens protector, just as on the N95 Classic. Navigation is prominent too, with a dedicated Nokia Maps key tastefully arranged on the 6220's left side. This is the latest Maps 2.0 and even comes with full street maps for your own country preloaded. I personally like the voice guidance subscription model, and it should prove popular amongst occasional users using it for holidays, for example. The built-in GPS is also used for optionally geotagging all photos, by the way, with Share Online built in for uploading to Flickr and Ovi, and with the popular sports tracker only a click away in Nokia's download system. This is the first phone I've seen with Feature Pack 2, and I was largely impressed. I love the labelling of the context-sensitive centre key, the D-pad, in throughout, and I loved the shortcut to show open apps in all menus throughout the 6220 Classic's interface. With more multitasking and more RAM, easier access is needed, of course, so the open apps list is now a compact grid, and you get to see all your running applications without having to scroll, provided you can recognise them from their icons, of course. I found the new theme effects rather annoying, and I turned them off almost immediately, I have to say, preferring a fast and lean user interface, but then maybe that's just me. Not being part of the N series doesn't make that much difference here, but I did notice there were less things to fiddle with in the camera and a simpler gallery interface. There were a few internet related glitches, but then I didn't have a fully configured retail unit here, so I'll let these slide. The user in the high street is going to see the 6220 Classic as a 5 megapixel camera equipped GPS nav equipped Nokia for no more per month than Motorola want for one of their latest razors, and they will be utterly blown away. If this doesn't sell, I'll eat my hat. Once upon a time, Windows Mobile was Windows Mobile. You had a touchscreen, but that was so you could prod at tiny little icons or a keyboard with a stylus. As of January 2007, when the iPhone was announced, all of a sudden the stylus was out and fingers were in. Which is fair enough in a way, as Apple's implementation of a finger-driven interface in this, the iPhone, and now the iPhone 3G, has been nothing short of superb. Okay, so there's no haptic feedback and you have to use two hands to do nearly everything, but the intelligent handling of inaccurate tapping, dragging and general prodding by clumsy fingertips is a model of good software design. Moreover, this intelligence extends from the surface of the main applications right into the deeper settings. The iPhone may be challenged in lots of ways, from lack of copy and paste to a poor camera, but you really can't fault its all-consuming, seamless vision of a user interface. But I digress. This is the HTC Touch Diamond. Now, if anyone was to implement finger friendliness on a revised UI, it surely had to be Microsoft with the core Windows Mobile OS. However, their progress with Windows Mobile has been steady, but nowhere near fast enough. And what HTC have done, if I can put it bluntly, is to take Windows Mobile 6 and add on a fancy Today screen replacement, a data browser and an application launcher. So we have the much hyped TouchFlow 3D home screen linking to people, a flickable browser for the handful of contacts you select as favourites. Next are messages and mail, text and email browsers for content in the standard Windows Mobile messaging app, but still using many of its old-fashioned and clumsy dialogue, such as when replying to something. Internet launches Opera 9.5, eschewing Pocket Internet Explorer completely. Opera does a good job of mimicking the iPhone's Safari interface, but it doesn't handle the impreciseness of finger control as well. Photos and videos lets you browse images in the device. Tapping on them brings up a full-screen browser with some specific zoom shortcut gestures. Handy, and the iPhone accelerometer trick is mimicked with a landscape option. Photo-to-photo flicking, though, is slow, and there's often a second or so's lag, meaning you're never quite sure whether your gesture was recognised or not. Interestingly, you can also circle the D-pad to zoom in, an operation that interestingly also works in the browser. Music is a replacement for Windows Media Player, while weather is, well, you get the idea from the screenshot. Finally, settings offers a pretty way to access the most common Windows Mobile settings, and Programs offers 2 panes of 9 configurable shortcut icons for switching to the Windows Mobile apps of your choice. If I sound a bit negative about TouchFlow 3D here, it's because I'm a little underwhelmed. Don't get me wrong, if TouchFlow 3D and Windows Mobile was launched out of the blue in an iPhone-less world, many people would take it and bless HTC for taking the time to make some common day-to-day operations easier and prettier. But this is 2008, and TouchFlow 3D on the Touch Diamond is at best half-hearted and at worst a horrible kludge. You see, some of the UI is a rewrite of Windows Mobile components, duplicating what's already available here through Start Programs, while some of it uses the same data as just a window onto it with more or less direct links to the Windows Mobile apps themselves. At any point you're worried about tapping once too far and being dumped unceremoniously into the very Windows Mobile apps that you sold your Dell Axiom and your HTC Touch and bought the Touch Diamond to escape from. Look under the hood and there's Office Mobile, Calendar, Contacts, Adobe Reader, Zip, Pocket Internet Explorer, Tasks, Voice Recorder and all the other components of a bog standard Windows Mobile handset, all of which is quite mature in these days, 2008. But if you want standard, then you might as well stick with my top 5 rated original HTC Touch at a fraction of the price. The one new native app of note is this YouTube player, again mimicking the iPhone, but at least doing it quite well. The Touch Diamond is effectively an exercise in HTC's frustration with Microsoft's slowness. They've tried to bolt on a pretty interface to persuade touchscreen fans from jumping ship to the Apple iPhone, but its beauty is literally only skin deep. They've done well to get as far as they have, but it's still a light year from the integration and beauty of OS X on the iPhone. With the Diamond, I all too often came up against dramatic changes in interface, needing a switch from finger to stylus and back again, or against dialogues in which the very text being entered was hidden behind one of the many optional keyboards. This is exactly how not to do a next generation touch-based smartphone. Apologies if this is starting to sound like an Apple advert, but with the HTC Touch Diamond you'll spend at least part of every day fighting the interface. With the iPhone you'll spend part of the day caressing it. In terms of hardware, the Touch Diamond is genuinely tiny and light. So much so that they didn't even have room for a micro SD card slot, so you're stuck with the built-in 4GB of storage. There's a very basic focusing 3-megapixel camera, but you can't control when a photo is actually taken, and there's no flash. There's also no audio out jack. You have to use the HTC composite headphones. The screen's disappointingly small too at 2.8 inches. The hyped VGA resolution is arguably wasted a lot of the time. Other specifications such as HSDPA, Wi-Fi and GPS are exactly matched by the iPhone 3G. Having copy and paste, an MMS and a basic focusing camera are all very well, but they're outweighed in style, implementation and performance by the competitor from Cupertino, especially now the iPhone 3G has the necessary corporate exchange support built in. The sadly forgettable HTC Touch Diamond.